there, I hope all is well. Welcome to Pearl, a world where modern day princesses strive for class, sass, and strass. I'm your host, Victoria, coming to you live from really brisk California. It is such a beautiful morning right now. I actually went on my morning run, and at that time, it was like 6 a.m. or whatever. The fog was out, and the little mist was out, and the birds were starting to chirp. It was just so beautiful. So I hope wherever you are right now, it is just as pretty and enlightening. Today's topic is modesty, okay? And I know that this is something that kind of triggers a lot of people. It triggers a lot of men. It triggers a lot of women. But all I ask is that you have an open mind to what I have to say in my approach to it, because I am really trying to understand both sides of this. And I honestly don't even like that modesty is a two-sided thing where, lust can be thrown into there, self-respect can be thrown into there, and all these different kinds of weird topics that we can extrapolate from the whole umbrella of modesty. Okay. But we're going to get into it because I think it's really important in today's society. Oh my gosh, today's society to, talk about how we present ourselves as women. And I just want to reflect. I know I had that modesty video, which is honestly one of my most popular videos. And, a lot of people agreed with me, and that's great. But I don't think I really got across what I was trying to say and my approach to modesty, which is, yes, we need to be respectable. Yes, I think it's in women's best interest to be classy and sophisticated. But I think it's really just important to recognize that we have just totally shifted, okay? It's not even about necessarily what we wear, but it's how I think it's because insecurity really came into young women today. I would argue, I don't really know the stats about this, but I would argue that American women today, young women, are more insecure than they were back then. And so to compensate for that, we obviously are looking the way that we look. But what I was trying to say is that 100 years ago, the epitome, or if you will, the ideal woman, which I would argue was probably the average woman, was so classy and refined. Okay. She didn't have to show much for her to be seen. Okay. And today it's the complete opposite. I don't know where this shift has happened, but the aura of women has just really gone downhill, I would argue, as a whole. Now, I see beautiful, super confident, put together women, and I absolutely adore them. And I love seeing that on walks or just in the public sphere. But I would argue that that's probably 20 to 30% of the female population, whereas that used to be 90% of the population before. So I'm just curious as to why things changed and why we're at this point where we feel like we can't dress classy anymore. And I really want to bring that back. It's not expensive. You might argue that it's expensive. It has nothing to do with your background. It has nothing to do with, your family dynamics and what your past is. Being classy is a choice, okay? And you get to choose it, and you get to exude that aura if you want to. It might take time to develop and everything, but I absolutely believe that any woman, regardless of where she comes from, regardless of what she looks, can become classy, okay? So that's one thing. There has obviously been this cultural shift where women no longer feel the need to, I guess, show less. And I'm not here to shame you if you do show a lot of skin. And honestly, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of the whole skin thing. I think that's so cringe, honestly. And anybody who comments, by the way, on women's pages about modesty when she's a Christian, I understand. But if you're a man, it's honestly unbelievable. And we're actually going to talk about that soon, about, how a lot of this is stemming from men. And I'm not going to lie, I think the whole shift from classy women back in the day to now is because of the demand that men have. We are shaming women so hard for how they're dressing. And to an extent, I do agree that our modern day fashion is maybe not the cutest and not the best, okay? I'm not here to necessarily shame them. I don't believe in that and being all you're, this and that, and you're a bad person and you're a bad woman. But I am here to inspire you to want to dress classy, to want to dress respectably, because it's in your best interest. In society, it's going to elevate you, okay? Being a classy woman genuinely, I think, opens more doors than being a hot or beautiful woman, okay? You can be an average looking woman, but the moment you exude this classy confidence, it's game over for the rest of the world, honestly. And I say that as somebody who I've adamantly admitted that I have never been like the pretty girl, okay? But because I hold my chin up high, because I really try to be a kind, sweet-hearted person, the doors of my life have been open more to any of the girls in my life who I've seen who are objectively beautiful and, maybe fit more the stereotype of a modern woman today. So now let's get into the man's side of this, because this weird obsession with modesty in the Christian culture, honestly, I think is a reflection of the failures of men. And I know actually that the majority of my viewers are men, and I believe in equality, and I believe in being fair. I try to be as logical and fair as possible. And so over the past 2 years of really thinking about this and observing and studying the dynamics between men and women, I have really come to the conclusion that women have gotten to this place today because of men's failings. Okay? And if you don't like to hear that as a man, I'm sorry, but I think accountability needs to be told. Why do I say this? Because I see on so many videos, it could be any video, it doesn't even have to be like a Christian modesty video, men commenting on women's bodies. Okay? And I understand barely, I'm not gonna lie, I barely understand the argument that like men are more visual and so they're more like triggered and reactionary to like female bodies and women's bodies. Like, I don't get it, because their argument is that they're more visual, but I'm like, don't we both have eyes? Like, you're telling women who have eyes that they're less visual than men? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. So I'm kind of accepting it with a grain of salt, but whatever. So men are commenting on these videos, and I can't help but realize that men who comment on these videos are reflecting one of two things. Okay. Number one, if they're commenting on, let's say, an immodest, I'll say an unclassy girl, okay? Even though I'm not shaming, again, I know it might seem like it because like the word modesty kind of implies that there's some sort of shaming. It's not deep for me, okay? I want all women to feel comfortable in this space, regardless of if you're quote unquote classy or not. And I'm just here to incentivize you and like inspire you to possibly consider maybe switching lifestyles, because I know it's a trend right now to be unclassy, but like it will literally, I'm telling you, it will elevate you crazily. But anyway, going back to the men's comments and men's obsession with women's modesty, it's reflecting one of two things, girls. I want you guys to know this and really internalize this. Number one, this is a projection of a man's inability to access that kind of woman. Okay? Straight up. He deep down wishes he could have access and be with that woman. Maybe not in society, maybe not like outwardly, and he might be embarrassed, let's say, in front of family and stuff, but deep down, he wants that woman. And so that projection that he couldn't access that woman is showing through his obsession with women's immodesty, let's say. Number two, men are commenting on these things, and it's as another projection that they are watching and having a lustful, centered mind. They are looking through the lens of lust. Because a good man who is not overcome by lust, who respects women, who is a true leader, who is out there, who is talking with women, treating them well, protecting them, providing for them, serving them, he is not bothered, and he would not go out of his way to comment on a woman's clothing. I'm going to tell you that right now. Every single good man that I've ever known was too busy with work, was too busy with his woman, was too busy with his family, was too busy with his hobbies, his passions, his goals, the good things in his life to ever comment on a woman's body. Okay? Other than his wife's, but even then he wouldn't even comment on her body except for saying how beautiful she is and how amazing she is and how much he loves her. Okay. So women, I really want you to internalize this and understand this, that men who are obsessed with modesty, who make you feel bad, who are shaming you, it's because one, they want to be able to access you deep, 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 deep down. They're attracted to these women and they wish they could access these women and they can't. And number two, it's because he's obsessed and he's probably watching and doing awful things and sinful things behind closed doors, should I say, that he's projecting that obsession that he has, that brain rot that he has onto you. Okay. So from the males, like half of this, or maybe even 75% of the problem, that's what's going on. Okay. When you see a man in public or in life and he's obsessed with women's bodies and modesty and women being lustful, he is struggling with that sin. Okay. It is not your job to not make him sin. It is his choice. We all have free will, and it is his choice to be watching that kind of content, to be commenting in that way, to be obsessing over this, okay? And so again, when I approach modesty, it's about my self-interest. It's about how I feel so relaxed and confident in society because I have nothing to be worried about. I say this because I've actually heard this testimony a lot, where when women wear less things, or they wear more, let's say, provocative clothing, they are actually way more self-conscious and way more self-aware because, they have to fix this, they have to suck in, they have to this and that, and body checking, and, they feel uber seen and all these kinds of things, and uber ogled at and like looked at. But when you don't feel that need to dress in that way, and again, I'm going to use classy. When you dress in a classy way, all those fears completely dissipate, okay? So again, from my perspective, what I want to inspire in women is to dress in a classy way, in a very sophisticated, chic way, for your best self-interest, for your self-respect, for the way that you approach yourself, because you're deserving of the better things, okay? Women are precious in the eyes of God. I think to dress the way that we are today is actually settling for ourselves, okay? Like, the way I think about it is like, why wouldn't you want to be like a princess, like a super sweet, cute princess? Like, I love that. Like, like the girly world of the Barbiehood, if that makes sense, is so precious. And like, men could never understand that. And it's so beautiful. Like, I don't know if you girlies watched Barbie growing up. She was literally, she was one of my biggest role models growing up because she was so kind and sweet. And even though she was beautiful, she dressed so elegantly and everything, even like the mermaid things, like her whole aura, again, it always goes back to that aura. Her whole aura was just so amazing. And she just felt like that big sister for everybody, So my thing is like, why wouldn't we want to strive to be like that? Why wouldn't you want to be a possible role model to other women? Because it's so rare today, like to dress that way and to exude that kind of aura. So I think it's in everybody's best interest, aside from men. I do not want this to be centered around men. I think it's in the world of women, in the world of Pearl and the Palace of Pearl. I think it's in every girl's best self-interest for us to be presenting ourselves in a classy way. Anywho. Now, again, with the men, shifting back to the man's perspective on this and like addressing men on this, what I find so infuriating is how we shame women for how they dress and all that, but we do not even bat an eye that men are lusting over these women, which is one of the gravest sins. As we can see right now, sexual sin is just rampant. It is everywhere. And so I see this trend of like shaming women for being Only Models fans. And I actually saw a statistic. I don't know if this is true, but I wouldn't be surprised. This man online was shaming women who were doing OnlyFans. And he said, a million women, it was like 1 million American women are, on OnlyFans. How disgraceful is this and whatever? And to an extent, yes, again, I agree. I don't believe that women, it's not in their best self-interest to be doing that. But anyway. But on the flip side, somebody else commented, around 82 million American men are watching it and are subscribed. So who is the bigger problem here? Women, like in the world of modesty, in the world of fashion and, let's say bodies, whatever, it's kind of cringe, but whatever. Women are supplying a demand that men are demanding. This is all coming from a man's demand. And that's why I say I think the whole problem with modesty today is because it's been a failure of men. Men do not have sexual discipline anymore. They indulged and became overcome. I think that's the right tense. They are overcome by their lust, unfortunately. Not all men, but many men. I saw another statistic. In the last 6 months, 96% of men were watching that kind of stuff online. Awful. 96% of men. And yet we're shaming women for showing an arm or a leg. Okay. And I get it. Again, like as a whole, American women are not looking good, but neither are men. I do not see classy men. I see overweight people everywhere, which, we got to fight that. And I'm not judging that because of necessarily just aesthetics. Like, it is just such a shame because then that's implying that America isn't healthy, which we know, but whatever. So we're being overcome by gluttony. We're being overcome by pride. All these men and women in the world think that they're the best. Like, narcissism is like at an all-time high, it seems. And we're overcome by lust. I mean, these men are so unclassy as well. They're, again, overweight. They are not well groomed. They are not leaders. They are not ambitious anymore. And I see this whole trend online now where like men are becoming very effeminate and very feminine. And women are sick of it. And I get it. I understand that it's a two-way street, okay? And I'm not here to start a gender war, okay? But let's like really look from both perspectives. I don't think it's fair to just blame women for dressing a certain way because you, as a man, are not able to control yourself. And why aren't you plucking out your eyes then? Why aren't you cutting off your hand? If these women are causing you to sin, which is still not okay, again, like I'm not here to defend and say that what's going on right now is okay. But if those women, showing an arm or a leg is causing you to sin, why aren't you plucking out your eyes and cutting off your hand like Jesus instructed? So tired of it being a one-way streak, okay? So, what can we do now? Because that's the problem. I want to be solution-oriented. What can we do now? Well, hopefully with this channel, we can really strive together, the sisterhood. At the Palace of Pearl, all the princesses here can support each other in their journey to classiness. Because it's, again, like, the way I think about it is like, modesty, lust, and all that has to do with like objectively body parts, showing skin and all that kind of stuff. But classiness is just this whole other realm that is too busy to even think of those things. Classiness is a way where you elevate yourself to a point where you're not even thinking of those things anymore. You're not even bothered by those things anymore. And the kind of men who are shaming women for dressing a certain way could never access a classy woman. So being classy actually filters out the bad men in your life. You will only attract, because like attracts like, other classy gentlemen, like chivalrous, respecting, loving, wholesome, protecting, I don't know if I said protecting yet, protecting men, okay? That's why I keep saying, and I'm going to iterate this to the day I die, striving for classiness is in your best self-interest. People will look at you differently. People will listen to you. Talk about marketing yourself, because I know a lot of beautiful, let's say more provocative women are able to sell and be marketable and, sell things because of their beauty or whatever. But the actual power that a classy woman has in society is unmatched. Those women could never, okay? So again, I'm not here to tear down women. I love women. I just want to inspire you to possibly think about going down the narrow path in that way. I don't know. I think it's like, for me, I think the world of like, let's say immodesty is just kind of like twisted. It's a bit dark. It's a weird rabbit hole where there's a lot going on. But classiness is so simple. It's so sweet and like innocent, if that makes sense, but not in a weird, like childlike way, but in just it's just so simple. Everything is so clear. You don't have to worry about those kinds of things, like those worldly things. You are just in your little palace, prancing around in your cute little dresses, being women, honestly, like being sweet, kind women. And honestly, the whole like Pearl inspiration was, or the way I was like thinking about it is that 12 Dancing Princesses Barbie movie, which is, oh my gosh, I literally could watch that forever. Like that theme tune will literally rise me out of my bed if I need to. Like it is so beautiful. But anyway, I literally imagine that palace with the 12 princesses as our palace, like us dancing all around. And, there's that like flute guy playing the flute and we're just prancing and dancing and, loving our craft of dance. And they're so sweet and, they're socializing with each other and just, leveling up all together. It's like this constant leveling up. And so I want this to be a world where women can do that, where we're just prancing and talking and enjoying ourselves and they're not even worried about the worldly things, right? Like those princesses could care less. Their lives literally revolved around dancing, having fun with each other, being with their dad, supporting their dad, shoes and shopping. And I'm not trying to like get us to be super materialistic in that way, but those kinds of simple, really virtuous things, I think we should really like indulge in that a little bit. Like, I think those are the good things to indulge in. Of course, all of that centered around our faith. And of course, like, God and, the church are first. But still, like, that whole, again, aura, I think we should enter into that sphere. So anywho, that is another take on modesty. I just want to be real and raw. I want us to have accountability for everybody who needs accountability. I'm not about just pinning everything on women when this is very much, I would say, a man problem as well. And I personally think that men need to shape up. It is so cringy and embarrassing, honestly, that they're pointing their fingers at women when we know deep down this is a issue that's going on in their heart and they're wrestling. So I believe that women should support them in this, but it is not our job to fight your sin. You need to fight your sin as a man, okay? Also, women, actually, we'll go into that into another topic, but that is actually a really exciting topic that I hope to get into. So anywho, I hope you enjoyed this extra take on modesty. I could talk about this forever, and I honestly might. Like, I think this will probably be a continuing conversation. But women, strive for classiness, strive for sophistication, have enough confidence in yourself that you feel the need, like, you don't feel the need to dress as everybody else does, okay? I think it is just so special and spectacular when a girl dresses so classily. I'm not gonna lie. I'm obsessed. I'm literally obsessed anytime I see a girl like that in public. So I would love to see more girls like that. But anywho, if you got to the end of this episode, thank you so much for watching. Oh my gosh, listening and watching, I guess, if you're on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day. I'm praying for you. God bless. Bye.